Welcome to the Learn from Legend episode, and today, once again, magician from Riga, Mikhail Tal, and his brilliant queen sacrifice. He started by playing d4, his opponent replied with knight f6, he was playing against Hans-Joachim Hecht. That game, I don't know, it happened maybe in 1960s, 1950s, e6, and we got Queen's Indian on the board with knight c3. I mean, people these days play anything but not knight c3. They play most of the time g3, a3 and then knight c3, but yeah, knight c3 is a move as well. Bishop b4, bishop g5, bishop b7, e3. The idea at some point might be to play h6, g5 and knight d4 using the weakness, not the weakness but the pin of this on this diagonal. h6, bishop h4, bishop c3. Once again, now g5 looks very good as well, and knight a4. This is what people usually play, and then, you know, there are f5, there is simple d6, and at some point, you know, take and play f5 or d6 and knight d7, knight f6. But alright, bishop c3 was played, doubling the pawns on c file, d6, knight d2, e5, f3, queen s7, trying to basically take and take on e3 afterwards. e4 is played, knight d7, bishop d3, knight f8, now knight jumps to g6, and you know, then to potential f4, or knight can go to e6 and press this d4 pawn. c5, d takes c5, d takes e5, queen f5, threatening pawn on c3, now simple c6, castle, knight g6, knight c4, queen e6, e5, b5, and guess what Mikhail Tal played here? He's attacking the knight on f6, but his queen is being counterattacked. So he is like, man, you wanna take my queen? Take it. E takes f6, b takes a4, f takes g7, rook g8, bishop f5, knight h4. Bishop f5 is another insane move, because the idea is, I'll show you what happens. So bishop g6 was a better move, but bishop f5 looks like a ridiculous move. The idea is that after queen c4, rook f1, basically black will have to sacrifice the queen back, and actually, let's say what happens. Let's say queen e6. There is not bishop e6, because after bishop e6 actually takes king f7 and black protected, but instead play rook e6, and after f takes e6, bishop g6, king d7, rook d1, king c7, and there is bishop g3, king b6, rook b1, king a6, bishop d3, king a5, and bishop c7, checkmate. So bishop f5 was played, and the idea is if queen f5, there is knight d6 fork, and white take the queen, and eventually will win the game. So bishop e6, bishop a6, pinning the knight. If bishop goes somewhere else, I mean, of course, this bishop will take. So first knight d6 check, and after king e7, both pieces are under attack, and this rook is under attack. Like, what's white gonna do? They play bishop c4. They attack this bishop instead. If king d6, now just simple bishop a6, rook g7 spot. And now instead of taking first, which actually is a terrible move, because now they allow black to take on g2, and now king d6, the black's position is actually winning. Mikhail Tal first plays quiet g3. Brilliant move, because he doesn't rush with taking on a6. So king d6, bishop a6, and now his position is slightly better. And his opponent, of course, started making mistakes. King e7, rook e1, king d6, king goes to f2. I mean, you know, at this point, they were playing quite slow endgame, where, you know, black started giving up pawns, making mistakes, and eventually Mikhail, you know, took advantage to his hands and started, you know, basically destroying black pieces. Bishop c4, rook e6 is now is a threat with, you know, taking on e7 next. Knight d5, bishop d5, c takes d5, and we got to the following rook endgame. Bishop d5, again, the idea is that after rook b7, bishop g8 is possible, and if c takes d5, rook b4, trying to take on a4, then using the weakness on a7, rook c8, rook a4, rook c3, rook a6, king c5, take on f6, h5, h3, basically two pass pawns on king side. Yeah, there is pass pawn in the middle of the board as well, but white are a lot better in this situation. Rook h5, rook f5, rook c2, king g3, and could take on a2 as well. But here after rook d1 it turns out there is no way to protect d5 pawn, and they would have to give it up. But still, you know, does this look like winning? Of course it looks like winning, because after rook h6, you know, they would probably have to resign soon, because takes. Now they have to stop the way, so they would play something like this. But there's even simple rook h5, and the idea is that for rook g1, king f4, a4, h7, pawn is being promoted. So king g3, king c4 was played, rook e5, d4, so black are trying to push the pawn as well, so it was very important to go king c4 and then d4. g6, trying to trade, rook h1, rook c5, king d3, takes, and now black have this pawn, while white have this pawn. But here, I mean, Mikhail played the best move, which is king f4. Could have played rook g5 as well, doesn't really matter, this or king f4. So king f4, rook g1, rook g5, blocking the way to this pawn, and just like that, he won this crazy chess game. Let me show you what could have happened. Let's say rook g5, king g5, d3, g7, d2, g8. The idea is that after d1, black even promoted the queen, but queen b3, that's what was calculated, and the idea is king d2 does this, and now basically this pawn promotes, and white are up a queen and will win the game. Again, let me know in the comments what games you want me to analyze next. I'll see you in next videos. Bye bye.